The Bismillah in English, Part 1. We first need a brief introduction. These videos are intended to be an accurate and simple English construct of the Arabic Quran verses. I realize no translation of any foreign language can be absolutely accurate, but I will stick to the simple dictionary definitions and language rules to find the meanings. Of course, the words themselves may give different meanings from what we learned, since there are different schools of thought in Islam and all major religions. We will have to trust God to give each of us the guidance we need. I will try to keep my own background out of any of these clips, but I will confess that I have a set of prejudices that you will sense, namely that the Arabic in the Quran, as we now have it, is correct, word for word, and even letter for letter, as God intends. Also in that vein, that God is in complete and perfect control of everything all the time. So, God willing, let's see what the Bismillah is in English. The Bismillah is the starting line of essentially every chapter in the Quran, but verses following it are not specifically connected to the Bismillah. We can only assume that God uses the Bismillah as a headline. Critically important clues in instructing us to gauge what we read in the whole Quran, as well as, I suspect, everything else, by what the phrase actually says. In fact, the Bismillah has been adopted by Islamic culture over the centuries to factor into the daily speech of nearly all practicing Muslims. So it is not a surprise that this little phrase has the most repeated and valued words on the planet. Let's explore what those words mean. The first word is actually a combo word, a conjunction sort of. The Arabic is pronounced Bism. There's the B and the Ism. Ism is Arabic for name, but also importantly for noun. We know that a name is a personal label for something, or usually someone. Abdel, Miriam, Musa, or George, your teddy bear. But people don't usually appreciate that it's also the word for noun, which is a describing word, like lamp, or hand, or policeman. The B part is also not usually appreciated. Most all translations say that Bism means in the name of, but the Arabic name for in is fi, and it's not Ismallah, but Bismillah. So what is this B thingy? Well, it's actually a case where English has several meanings of the word in, and the Arabic is here much more specific. You may have seen where a cop might say stop in the name of the law. Well, he's not naming a person here, like say Jude law, but this English phrase means that in the name of is actually referring to what a noun and not a person is able to do. Like the law can put you in jail if you don't stop. The Arabic B implies exactly this. So Bism Allah refers to what Allah is able to do. Which brings us to that next word, Allah. And this is going to cause a lot of issues. I tried to point out the important difference between name and noun, since Bism indicates we have a noun, a label following in the name of. If it is a name, you don't translate it. Like, I'm going to call Abdel. Now I'm going to call the slave of God, which is the translation meaning of Abdel. But if it's a noun, you do translate it. If the translating Arabic for my paper is on the desk, you don't say my warqa is on the desk. This is really straightforward. And when you're talking about God, really important. So if you're going to translate and talk about the Arabic of the Bismillah, you cannot say what has always been said, namely, in the name of Allah. Because if Allah is a name, not only does it not fit the linguistics, but it assumes that God has a name. Anything and anyone who's been made or created can have a name. But if God is who we think he is, he's completely beyond having a name. And that is exactly why the Quran says what it says. If we believe in not changing what's being instructed, then we must recognize and follow it. God reveals a truth and a teaching in this important headline in his revealed criterion. Namely, we are to refer to him in English the way he tells us to, and that is to translate the Arabic al-Ilah, Allah, into its English, the God. We're supposed to call him God, but maybe not exactly translated the God. When English speakers first became Christian many hundreds of years ago, they were able to do something in English you can't do in Arabic. To identify the God of Jesus as the only God, not part of the previous pagan many-god system, they capitalized the noun God. No other noun is capitalized in English except God, which then only refers to the one God, the God of Jesus and Ibrahim and Islam. Of course, many English speakers don't believe in God, but still use the word in all manner of degenerate ways. What they and even many believers don't think about is the unique implication of this capitalized noun. Namely, if God is really the one and only God, then he alone has the property of aseity, which is a fancy and specific word meaning self-existence. This is something that's impossible to get your head around because he always was, from forever, whatever that means. So absolutely everything, as well as true nothingness, is from and because of him only. I guess to summarize, this first half of the Bismillah simply and eloquently says, by the power of God. Now we need to see what the power promises. So we need to finish the Bismillah in part 2.